Oh, well, good morning, and what a beautiful morning it is. Oh, mist laying low, glorious blue sky. Oh, some clouds over there. Can't see any chemtrails. We've certainly had less chemtrails this year, which is why it's been a beautiful year. And why we've had good fruits on our trees and good crops and sunny weather. So our natural vitamin D coming from the sunlight, as it's supposed to do. Anyway, I've just walked past all around St. Augustine's Church, and it's their Christmas tree festival this weekend. It actually starts on Friday evening at 6, and it's on Saturday and Sunday. I'll put up a post with the times on. So yeah, do come along and see my Christmas tree that's going to be in there. And it's always a beautiful festival, and it would be lovely if they left the trees in over Christmas because it's so festive. And I do love this festive time of year. I know it's not the literal birth of Jesus Christ, but it still brings light into the dark of our short days in the winter time in the northern hemisphere. So the light certainly returns after the 21st of December on a planetary level and seasonal. So literally you can see the bulbs start to shoot through the ground the week after the 21st. And so the light in terms of seasons does return. And the light is going to return on a conscious level with the second coming of Christ. And I do believe that we're in those end times. I do believe that we're at that point of transformation. There's many people on YouTube, the end time watchwomen, people, giving the end times scenario, which does make sense of the madness that we're seeing in our world at these end times, these difficult times, hard to deal with, it says, 2 Timothy 3. But also Romans 1, it talks about the difficult times as well. And a lot of people say they're not religious and they don't go to church, and I only go to church sometimes. But actually, Jesus Christ, so the consciousness of Christ and the whole spirit of love is the foundation and the fulfillment for the law, for the common good, the common law, for all people, for, I say, mankind. So, because if we haven't got the law being upheld and corruption being stopped, raised incorruptible, it says in 1 Corinthians 15, then there's no peace, is there? You can't have justice without peace, because justice is for peace, and peace is not injustice with a antidepressant or a sedative or some sort of medication. Peace is a state of being within our body, which I would say is a naturally occurring endorphin in our blood. And is that the blood of Christ? That's what I'm saying in my work. And it comes from moral and righteous living. And we all have the choice, but we shouldn't be being ruled with sin and corruption and austerity. I remember when I was doing a course with Welsh Government, Women Making a Difference, and I took my first book and I said, I want to make a difference in the world with my book. And they were teaching us about austerity, which means the working man's wage doesn't cover the costs. Come on, that's not justice. That's not peace, that's hardship, and that's hardship on families, hardship on children. And then that leads to Often alcohol is used to numb the pains and struggles, and that's not the answer either. A glass of wine is nice sometimes, or a glass of beer is it's a social activity which in moderation is great. But when it becomes a need or an addiction, a habit, a bad habit, then it has destructive consequences on the mind and on the body. And we're marketed and sold all of these things that are against God's love, because there's massive profit in them all. And then there's drugs on the streets, easily available. I don't see that that's really justice being upheld either. It's about attaining to the consciousness of what love is, for the joy and the peace, which are states of the Spirit. And at Galatians 16, we're asked to walk in Spirit. The love and the joy. And there's many people doing what they ought to do, and working hard, looking after their families, looking after their children, good members of the community. Many people doing that. And it shouldn't be a struggle to survive doing those things. But anyway, God has a promise for restoration of love, for revival of love, the second coming of Christ. And I would say it's imminent in these times. I was listening to something last night, which with Hanukkah on they're the feasts of Israel. Hanukkah means the dedication to God, dedication to God's love. And yeah, it's only by that we can attain to perhaps what they call atonement in the Jewish festivals. But I see atonement as at-one-ment. It's all about being at one. And the meaning of the name of Christ, who is the anointed one, who causes love to become made whole and one in our body, which is the temple for God's love to dwell. So it's how it affects you, how it affects us, how it affects me, how it affects others, how it affects our enemies. We're taught to love our enemies, which means to observe the commandments. And that's why justice for human rights must be upheld. It's time to learn no war, time to stop all of these weapons being manufactured. I was listening on Radio 2 yesterday to some people speaking about having been shot. It's horrific. What would Jesus say to that? What would Jesus say to manufacturing guns? Perhaps this is the way we need to think in order for thy kingdom to come. And yeah, if people have got such hatred and such resentment and such that they want to kill, then they do need the wonderful counsel of Christ, the Messiah, to love, to forgive, to be able to tolerate and move on and not be destructive to one another, because that's the only way we're going to find peace in our world. And God does have a promise for this. In Revelation 21, the new heaven is described as gemstones, all of which refract the whole spectrum of light. God is love and God is light. And people will say, oh, gemstones and crystals, they're new age, and well, actually they're old age. They're as old as the ancient days, older than man himself probably, because they're made in the volcanic eruptions of the geology of our planet. And they hold elements and sacred geometrical forms that do connect with our body, that are healing for our body. But most of all, they reveal the consciousness of how we must have courage to face the hurt, grief, pain, trauma and diseases in our body, in our life. That's what the counselling process is. It takes a lot of courage to do that, because it's hard facing those pains. And I know I've done it. And I've helped others to do it in my work. But we have to have courage, and we have to have faith. Faith is the assured expectation of the things hoped for, the evident demonstration of realities not yet beheld. So when Jesus, when people, after the healing had occurred with people, he said to all of them, your faith has made you well. Because we have to have that faith. If somebody hasn't got faith, they're not going to be able to heal. It doesn't work. It's a consciousness. And we're saved by grace. And is it grace through faith? So with thanks. So again, if somebody's got no thanks, if they're not thankful, then healing doesn't occur either. So these are actually conscious states of being. So the courage and the faith to seek our happiness and our peace. The peace is not a cortisol stress hormone from trauma, abuse, grief, hurt, pain, austerity, lies, betrayals, corruption, all of those things. To seek peace. And we have to wrestle between what's right and what's wrong. And there's a lot of things wrong in our world at the moment. And a lot of those truths are coming out, and they're horrific. They're absolutely horrific. I do share some on Facebook that I've learned about since lockdown, actually. A lot of this evil darkness started to come out in lockdown. So I do share them, and the answer is justice must be upheld to stop them happening, to stop the child trafficking, to stop the child abuse, the corruption. Money, the love of money is the root to all evil. And we can create a beautiful world for us all. It doesn't have to cost. It's just if we make the effort to make everywhere nice. And I would say not to have all of these parking meters and things that stop. Council saying it's got no money. It's got loads of money. It's got our money. It's just what do they spend it on? But anyway, where did we get to? So we have to have the courage and the faith to seek our happiness and peace. We have to wrestle between what's right and wrong. We have to be able to forgive. We have to stick to the process of love. We have to hear what that pain is saying. Where does that pain come? When you connect with the pain in your body, it will tell you. You do know where it's come from. And we have to hear, and we have to recognize. And then when we do that, we connect with that, then our body will make that change from the stress response, which is fear, all comes from the fear, which is in our sympathetic nervous system adrenaline response, which also is the source of all the addictions because it feels good. Adrenaline is addictive. But we will transform from that into our parasympathetic nervous system, and that changes just as in the twinkling of an eye because it's a nervous system change in our body. So physiologically it's changing from fear to love and connection, and that's through the endorphins. So the end is the beginning of the word endorphin. The end is the beginning of the word. The end is the beginning of love's promise to end man-made trauma, grief and pain, to end inner turmoil and confusion, to end abuse, regret and shame, to end the sickness of mind delusion, to end the trauma, grief and pain. And then we have to tolerate others on their journey because we all have issues to work through. We all have things going on. Life is, there's traumas in life. It's just part of being life. Oh, hi Teresa, good morning. And Donna, good morning. What a beautiful morning. Look at that sunshine. So I'm just going through the 12 gemstones of the new heaven. So we get to tolerate others on their journey because we're all working through stuff. And we have to, trust is absolutely foundational for everything. Trust, confidentiality, knowing that you're safe. And only the truth will set us free. And that's what the gemstones of the new heaven reveal in the stone's cry that I hear, and that's what I write on, and as a conscious process for healing. So I share them with love, and I've just been doing my Christmas card, ready for the Christmas tree festival at St Augustine's this weekend. So Donna, I think you're local, aren't you? So perhaps will you be going to that? And yeah, and we know that God has a promise, and it is that conscious process, and conscious process of love and light for enlightenment of love anointed, which is the meaning of Christ's name. So I will say Happy Christmas for every day, for healing, for heaven on earth, in accord with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. So thy name to cause love to become, made whole and one in us, in our body, which is the temple for God's love to dwell. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those as others who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, and deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. And so may justice be upheld to deliver us from the evil of corrupt rulers who are not working with humanity's best interest at heart, who are not working for our health and healing. And oh gosh, as we're seeing bird flu being right now, oh dear. And we should well personally I don't eat turkey at Christmas. I very occasionally will eat turkey, but I don't really eat turkey, because the turkey is a bird who she's with her young for months. She's a wonderful mother, and we're seeing mothers are being made to work as if having a family and looking after a home isn't a full-time job in itself. Looking after children it's the hardest job. It's 24/7. So a working mother will go to work, and then she's working the rest of the time when she's at home as well, because that's just what it is. That's the reality of it. And women should be supported. If we make the choice to have children, then there needs to be support for the best welfare of the whole family, the husband or the man, the woman, the mother, and the child, the children. Because there's no home if we're just all passing ships in the night. We've got to remember the divine mother love, which is what forms that bond of love, the spirit for love, joy, peace, contentment, connection with the self, with the core self, knowing who we are, knowing that we're loved. And I can only say thank you to my family who gave me that after the adoption. And that's the foundation that I do understand what I talk about. So wishing you all love and light for enlightenment of love anointed, and that love is not a cortisol stress hormone which is created by the fear drip fed through media in our world. May that change. Imagine them drip feeding love, positive messages, good news, and let's call for peace. Time for war to end. There's a scripture, Isaiah 2:4, and so yeah, time for the holy city. The new heaven, the new Jerusalem, for twofold peace here on earth. Have a wonderful day. Lots of love. Bye.